Hi, this is John Rowell for the Rowell Report. Today is Saturday, November 1st, 2025. Just a quick report, and just wanted to point out an article here in the BBC that the armed forces of Ukraine have gone on the offensive in Pokrovsk. That is according to the BBC, but unfortunately this article doesn't tell the whole story. So you can see the title of this article: Defense of Donbass Town, basically Pokrovsk, a priority, not a crisis, not urgent, a priority among other priorities. And Zelensky says, as special forces deployed. Well, the thing this article fails to mention is that the special forces were both deployed and destroyed. So, anyway, what happened is that basically the urban area of Pokrovsk and Mirnograd, which is a key hub city that Russia is very close to capturing, and inside which Ukrainian troops are trapped and unable to escape and are being destroyed every day. Don't know if it was Syrskyi or if it was Budanov, but they sent a special forces team in I think a Black Hawk helicopter to the outskirts of Pokrovsk, and they landed the helicopter there next to a gas station, and apparently the goal was for the soldiers to get off the helicopter and then run like mad to try to get to some wooded area or get to a gas station. Anyway, the Russian forces were following this helicopter for quite a while. When it landed, as soon as it landed, and the 11 or 12 special forces soldiers were deployed in that area on the outskirts of Pokrovsk, then the Russian drones flew in, swooped in, and chased down each one of these soldiers, and basically it was a mission failure. It was very poorly planned, very hastily planned. There was really no thought put in to the safety of these soldiers, to their lives. It was basically a suicide mission with only a one-way ticket. I don't even know if the helicopter flew back safely. So anyway, you can see that in this article that special forces are deployed, so the city has hope. Well, if they're dead, they don't have any hope, so to speak, at least from these special forces. And there were 12 soldiers, and let's say the city is surrounded by 10,000 or 20,000 Russian soldiers. What are 10 soldiers going to do against 10,000 or 20,000? Somebody is not thinking using this. They probably got an order from some NATO general sitting in Germany and said they can do it. Just pump them up and put them on a helicopter, and it'll be like Rambo. They're going to go against the world and they will win, and then they'll make a Hollywood blockbuster, and and then they will raise the Ukrainian flag all throughout the Donbass, and the Russians will run everywhere escaping because they're so scared of these 10 special or 12 special forces soldiers. Well, sorry, this isn't the movies. This isn't some Hollywood script. These NATO generals which sit in comfy offices in Germany with secretaries and with a very good coffee maker and with luncheons where they have these little napkins, and they have really nice silverware, and they probably have a whole bunch of people serving them food and bringing them wine, and and they're like, and they said, NATO general, can we take back the city of Pokrovsk with 12 special forces soldiers? And the NATO general, of course, we have trained them. We have, we have given them the skills. They can do it. You know, the Russians are fearful of these special forces soldiers that we're going to deploy. Well, they didn't even get as far as the front lines or the line of combat. They basically were hit by drones as soon as they got off that helicopter. They were chased down. Some tried to hide in some wooded area. Maybe one or two escaped, but according to the videos that were released, they were all, kaput. And then, from what I understand, they're going to send a few more of these suicide missions. So what's with all these kamikaze missions going on in Ukraine? Well, in World War II, the kamikaze mission started when the Japanese naval force was basically destroyed, and the U.S. ships were approaching the Japanese mainland, and they went into panic. So they basically took planes and they fitted them with huge bombs, and it was basically a pilot flying a plane into a ship to try to destroy it because they no longer had any other way to try to hit these ships and destroy them as they were heading towards the Japanese mainland. So now we're having this kamikaze missions from Ukraine, and the weirdest thing about this whole scenario is that President Zelensky gave a news conference in which he said everything is okay. The Ukrainian soldiers are winning in Pokrovsk, and not only that, they're winning in Kupiansk, and they're, destroying the Russian forces. Well, there's basically in Kupiansk and in Pokrovsk, Mirnograd area, all these Ukrainian soldiers are hunkered down in heavily fortified buildings, and they're being bombed and destroyed. And then as soon as that building's starting to fall apart, then they will move to another building, and the Russians have surveillance drones that see them move from building to building. So then they destroy another building, and more soldiers die. And little by little, this group of soldiers, which are trapped in Pokrovsk, and whose lives could have been saved if the Ukrainian commanders would have given the order for them to surrender. But anyway, since we know that all Ukrainian soldiers are unkillable, they don't die, they take all these bullets and attacks, and they just keep on going like a super version of G.I. Joe. So anyway, since they have this mentality that, bullets can fly, but they will never die. So anyway, this panic move by the Ukrainian military authorities, given orders by the NATO generals in Germany, they're starting to carry out all these kamikaze missions. So, like I say, this signals the end. This signals the final stage of this war, because countries don't start doing panicky kamikaze moves until they have nothing left in their arsenal. So anyway, that is my report about this title produced by the BBC, which only tells half of the story, and of course the other half is the special forces were deployed and then destroyed. So that is my report for today, my second report, and I wish that you all a good weekend. I should be back on Monday, but I'll be traveling. If I can make a report on the way at a rest stop or something, I will certainly do so. So I wish you all well, and I look forward to seeing you back for another report. Bye-bye.